Jeffrey Bassa.
Earlier in camp, we asked Dave Tope, who's standing out on special teams, and he brought up your name. I guess, how is that going on your end, and what does it mean to you, something like that?
Yeah, it means a lot for Coach Tope to come out here and say that about me. Just me dedicated to my grind and the pride that I take in special teams, being out there, being one of the guys that wants to be with the ones and wants to go up against the best competition, right? So for him to say that about me, I truly appreciate him for that. But I would have to say just being a film junkie when it comes to not only defense but special teams as well, so I can learn on how to be the best special teams guy that I can be. Right? So yeah, I appreciate him for saying it.
Jeffrey, so how has it been, fifth round pick coming in with Nick Bolton being small? What have you kind of learned from them, and how they help you kind of elevate your game?
Yeah, I've learned truthfully a lot from those guys, especially Drew in the mix as well. But so much knowledge and so much game because they've been in the game for such a long time and been in Spags defense for a long time. So for them to spill some knowledge, that things that I can improve on or things that they know that I'm not seeing, I take a lot of you kind of have to take a step back and kind of open your eyes and see the bigger picture and what they're trying to say, right? You got to listen to the message, not the tone. So, and I appreciate a lot of those guys for just spilling some of the knowledge and game that they got.
Just big picture, what does stand out to you about the first couple of games?
Yeah, overall it's really a grind. Coach Reed, training camps are no joke, just like people have been saying. So, but you really got to love it to be here. But overall, I think just the physicality that this team got. The guys, especially on the offensive side of the ball and defensive side of the ball, we're going to be really good this season. So, it's definitely been a grind.
What about just learning the defense? What kind of process and study habits do you implement to try and get up to speed there?
Yeah, so if we have a heavy install at night, I like to go back home or go back to the dorm room, I should say, and and study that for about 30 minutes to an hour, kind of just going over my notes. But I take a lot of pride in taking good notes in the film room when coaches are saying corrections, or if he's coaching up another guy on a different technique, then I'm still going to take those notes so I can be the guy that can learn from his example, right? But then as well as being one of the first guys out here when it comes to practice, that's something I've been doing since my freshman year of college. Just always being a guy who just comes out here and working on my craft, whether that's striking blocks, dropping his zone coverage. But then when it comes to learning the playbook, that's also coming out here, okay, I got a call sheet. What calls are we going to run against this certain formations, right here? Just going through the calls in my head and just getting myself mentally right before practice starts.
And Jeffrey, it sure seemed like Spags was a big fan of yours and kind of maybe wanted them to move up and get you. Can he talk to you about that and maybe what you did in the pre-down process to kind of catch his eye?
Not really. Haven't talked too much about that when it came to like moving up to get me, but when a team does move up to get you, it means that they you're higher on their board, or they got a lot of confidence in you and what you could do for their team. So right when I seen that they traded the pick, it means a lot because you're trading either future picks or you're trading picks within that current draft. So but no, I really haven't got to him on that. So.
Early on here in camp, defense-wise, what is Spags challenging you role-wise with CC with the second?
Yeah, really learning both positions, the mic and the wheel. Really trying to cross-train, so when it comes to a situation where he can get me in at either position, I feel like I've been doing a great job of that as well. Kind of knowing the fact that I'm learning two positions, and now that I'm going to be able to later on in my career learn the back end and learn the full front, right? So I feel like it's going to be a good job and it's going to help me in the long end, but really haven't got too much into second team, third team, or mixing it with the first team. That's not really what I'm worried about right now. Really just worried on fully learning the playbook and being confident enough that the coaches can put me out there with whoever.
You've had some time in defense and everything. How do you feel like what Spags asks of the linebacker really fits your skill set and kind of resonates with what you're best at?
Yeah, first off, it's going to start with communication. You got to be a communicating linebacker in this defense, and that's something I truthfully like. One of the main things that I take a lot of pride in is being a communicator. Even in my college tape or my college coach will say that he's always a communicator. He knows what's going on. He knows what the offense is going to do, right? So now I have to get to the point where I can get enough confidence in the defense. Okay, now let me start learning the offense a little bit and call out what they're going to do, right? But then communication, but then also being a versatile linebacker. You got to be able to cover and run in this defense and this league, but then you also got to be able to stop the run. So I take a lot of pride in being physical, but then also being a linebacker that you can maybe on third down you can match me up, or you can match me up on a star tight end, or you can have me blitz you know, and rush the quarterback, right? Or you can be having be a quarterback spy, right? But and you know, using my versatility, I like to call myself like a Swiss Army knife in a sense of it.
Here and then there.
Jeffrey, this is going back a little bit to sort of your first weeks, but Nick Bolton watched the rookie camp on video, and I just wondered when you first started engaging with him after that, was he already talking to you about stuff you even saw there? Or, I mean, to what degree did it begin right away with him mentally?
Yeah, it really started off rip. Just like you said, when he watched that tape, it was kind of like, okay, why did you call this? And you could have did this to the front, right? It could have been a small adjustment that I missed, but then that's something that he would have did, right? So now that after I've already watched the tape, now from his corrections, now I can go back and be like, okay, I'm seeing what he's seeing now, right? So little things like that where, you know, it wasn't too much glaring errors, but it was more so just like, okay, you could have did this to the front, or when they motion here, you should bump to this alignment instead of this alignment, right? So just little things like that.
And I know you're just sort of learning it in some ways, but do you feel a certain wavelength with him? Like, do you understand how he thinks and you see it through his eyes a little bit already?
Yeah, for sure. I'm asking him questions all the time, whether that's in the film room or just texting him. You know, on off days, sometimes I know he might get a little bit annoying about me asking him a whole bunch of questions, but that's just me trying to pick his brain. But yeah, I feel like we're on the same page. That's my dog, man. I truly appreciate it.
Last one. You said you're a film junkie. When did that? Has that always been the case? What was that until?
Yeah, that's always been the case since college. I've always been a guy who, really since high school, really. When I first started playing football my freshman year of high school, I always was like intrigued into watching like, I'd go to YouTube and I'd type in like NFL film breakdowns or college film breakdowns of people just talking about, the Chiefs are in this show. Well, they're trying to dial up the defense and know we're running, but you know, it's really complex. But little things like that is where I really got that film itch for just watching film and breaking down tape. But then in college, when I got to the full point where I fully knew the defense like the back of my hand, okay, now I'm studying the offenses and okay, what's the quarterback's read on this concept, or what's the running back's tracks on, you know, this type of run, right? And so now that's something that I'm trying to do on the at the elite level or at the professional level, right? So now just really trying to dial in on the full defense, know it like the back of my hand, but then also bump that down to offensively. And then as we head into the season, knowing what the offense is going to do, that we're playing that specifically.
How much time do you spend on that a day? Outside of camp meetings, if we're in regular season, I like to spend about like, no specific time limit, but like a couple hours at home where I'm just sitting there quizzing myself or watching the film over and over again. So Awesome.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.